Am I, 29M, going crazy? Or did my 26F fiancé cheat on me during Stampede? So this happened during Calgary Stampede, a country music city-wide fest with rodeos and concerts. I was unable to attend this year as I was visiting family in South America. My fiancé joined me on this trip to visit my family but had to return early as her workplace highly encourages networking during Stampede. She works in O&G, so this is a great time of year to network with current and potential clients. Had no qualms about her going without me as we've been together since university and are due to get married next spring. However, I was a bit unnerved when I got a bunch of drunken texts from her on the first day. Since this is her first time going for work, I wasn't really expecting her to get drunk or rowdy given that her company is pretty formal, way more formal than the tech company I work for. These texts were sent at like 12 p.m. so I was like, hey, slow down or you will regret it, which apparently annoyed her and she didn't really text me until she got back home at 7 p.m. NBD, right? Well, the second day was even worse. She kept updating her Snap stories with just shot after shot and was always surrounded by a bunch of dudes. Apparently her firm was showing around a bunch of Brits who were quite rowdy, which is why the second day devolved into even more drinking. The guys were very clearly flirting with her and were even a bit handsy. They kept touching her and pulling her into hugs. So I was not very pleased. That night she messages me at 11 p.m. saying that she only just got home. Now it's day 3 and I am pissed. My future bride-to-be has been getting plastered hanging around a bunch of dudes using work as a flimsy excuse. It also doesn't help that her outfits consisted of short skirts or sundresses to fit in the country theme. So I tell her about my feelings and that her not going or at the very least not drinking on the third day would really help assuage my fears, jealously. She says fine, and I'm cool with it, chalking it off to corporate pressure and anxiety for her odd behavior. My fiancé never drinks. Even in uni she was always the mama bear and took care of the drunkies instead of getting trashed herself. Now everything is fine, right? Nope, not in the slightest. So one of my good friends works for a rival firm in the same industry and was coincidentally attending the same industry event as she was, and I asked him to go say hi to the wife and take a selfie surprising her. He comes back with a video of her and him taking these massive tequila shots. Of course she's around those Brits and one of them has his hand right on the small of her back. In the video you can clearly hear the British guy saying, "Woo. Knock 'em back," whilst looking appreciatively at her boobs. Of course she's wearing the flimsiest outfit today out of all 3 days. Not even sure how that's allowed, to be honest. Usually she's in business formal attire for work events. I say nothing and don't text her that day until she FaceTimes me that evening. She is of course plastered and has a bunch of people over at our place. 2 of them I recognize as females from her workplace, but of course 2 of the Brits are also there. She says that it was their last day so they are all going to a casino and that her place was right beside the casino. That is true, we are walking distance from the casino, so she invited everyone over to freshen up before going. I'm raging internally but can't get too angry as I don't want to freak her out and exacerbate the situation. That night she messages me at 12 a.m. to tell me she's finally home. She skipped the final day and this has been months since, but I cannot shake off the feeling she cheated. Especially as I asked her to try on this really sexy piece of lingerie I had bought her a few months prior. She said that she can't find it and made excuses for why there's no point of looking. NGL, I keep thinking she might have used it that night with one of the Brits. She was always beside the blonde one in both the corporate photos and the Snap, Insta stories she was posting. Am I crazy? Or am I getting played? Until you have actual proof it's hard to say if she did or not. Ask her straight out. You should know her well enough to know if she is lying. If you don't ask her you will never know it will eat at you. Man up and straight up ask her. I honestly don't hear evidence of cheating. Just her letting loose. She can't help it if someone stares at her boobs. Blaming her clothing is not cool. The hand on back does not send up any red flags on her part. Her hands weren't on anyone, were they? She told you when she made it home. You are not crazy, it is shady, but keeping it to yourself will not make the situation better. Talk it out and ask for answers. I'm leaning she didn't cheat and was just having a good time. She was probably upset with you for grilling her about what she was wearing and doing. She was there for work, and probably didn't appreciate the interrogations of what was happening the whole time. She may have also thought you sent your friend to spy on her? Either way I think it comes down to if you trust her or not. Doesn't sound like she cheated, but you are getting angry because she was flirting and wearing skimpy clothes. I, 29, F. Want to divorce husband, 30, M. But our son has autism. Married 7 years. I, 29 female, have been thinking about divorcing my husband, 30 male, since last year. Been together for 7 years. Why I'm holding back. 1. He is an amazing dad to our son. I had my son prior to meeting him. He helped me raise my son since he was a year old. Absolutely no complaints about him being a great father. He treats him like his own, and I know he loves my son more than me. Part of the reason I married him. 2. Our son has autism, but is on the high-functioning side of the spectrum. He has high emotional needs. I tried asking him last year what he would feel if me and his dad broke up. He cried and I never asked again. I thought I would just suck it up until he was 18 and went to college. 3. We immigrated from Asia 5 years ago. My entire family is here, his is back home. Though the ideal situation post-divorce is us living near each other so he can still be a present father for my son, one thing I know he will absolutely fight for. In reality, he wouldn't be able to afford it or wouldn't have any family and friends to help him temporarily, so I know that most likely he would need to fly back home. 4. We are both college students in our undergrad. We entered college late in life, mid-20s, because we wanted to fix our lives up. I already have employment locked in starting next year that pays well, but he is still a sophomore and getting a good paying job in the Bay Area with no degree might be hard for him. 5. He does everything at home. He cooks and cleans, does the laundry, does grocery shopping. I all used to do it before I met him, but going into a competitive college, I use all my time studying. He never complains and does it to support me. It makes sense because his love language is acts of service. 6. We never fight, so technically my son may not be seeing anything negative. But this is explained further below. Why I want a divorce. 1. We don't fight because he is a gaslighter and I just gave up trying. I've been trying to tell him how we've become roommates for the past few years, like intimate only less than 10 times a year and only lasts less than 5 minutes each, and that we needed to work on intimacy. He says it's all in my head. Every time I try to bring a problem into our conversations, he gets irritated and says I'm overreacting. 7 years and we've never fixed a problem. Just didn't talk to each other a few days and never talked about our issues again. I'm the one wanting to talk, but what is the point when he doesn't even acknowledge it in the first place? 2. I tried to leave him a few years ago after he lied to me about going to a party with his friends, but they actually went to a strip club. I asked for a divorce and he hit me. I tried to leave and he got on top of me and pushed my face down against the floor. I had bruising afterwards. Honestly, I am scared to make him mad too because he might hit me again. 3. I know he isn't attracted to me anymore, and him. I've never been his type. I know that for sure. I've been in relationships with guys who were in love with me and I know what that looks and feels like. I've never felt that with him. 4. I was in a bad place when I married him. I had absolutely no self-love and self-respect. 3 years ago I started going to therapy and taking antidepressants. I got in a better place mentally and I'm not as clouded with my need for attention and acceptance anymore compared to when I met him. 5. I'm just not happy anymore. There's a big disconnect. When me and him are alone in the home, we don't even stay in the same room. We just do our own stuff and go on our phones. We are literally roommates. 6. I don't love him anymore. If he started cheating on me right now, I couldn't care less. So I'm posting it on here because I really need outside perspectives and I don't know what to do. It is a bad marriage, but he is a good father. Choosing to divorce him would be choosing myself over my son, and I'm willing to sacrifice 10 more years of a miserable marriage until my son goes off to college. Please help. Tell it to me straight. I won't get hurt. I asked for a divorce and he hit me. It doesn't get better. That's all I need to read. Get out of this relationship any way possible before he hurts or kills you. You asked for divorce and he hit you so hard that you were left on the floor with bruises. That's all that matters here. You need a divorce, and him leaving country would be the best thing for you and your son. Him not being biological father is great. Better chance to limit, disallow visitations. If you do nothing, you will spend another decade in fear and he will teach your son to treat you the same way he does. And he hit me. I tried to leave and he got on top of me and pushed my face down against the floor. I had bruising afterwards. You really buried the lead. He's not a good dad. He's not even a good person. You should have left when he hit you. And I think you should leave now. Will your life be harder? Yes, but I think it'll be better for both of you. You are doing your child no favors by staying. You don't want to set the example that this is what relationships and marriage are. My 30F partner, 29M, makes significantly less than me and it's starting to become an issue. I, 30F, have a boring but stable WFH job. It pays $85,000 and there's steady potential for upward movement. My partner, 29M, works at a plant nursery making $18 an hour and he loves the job, but there is a near zero chance of making more or moving up as this is a small business. Unless someone dies, he's stuck in the same position. All of the other people his age have moved on from this nursery for other jobs or to get married. This has confused my boyfriend because to him an office job like I have would be soul-crushing. Mind you, he has a degree, he just doesn't want to work in that field anymore. Him making significantly less than me never really bothered me until we moved to a more expensive apartment and the price of everything went up. Rent is $2,000 and bills, groceries, other expenses are another $600,700. I also have credit card debt I'm trying to pay down. All of that upfront cost is on me and he sends me $400 when he can. Student loan payments are coming due soon and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep spending the way I am. My salary is good, but it's not enough to sustain a future family. I want to get married and have kids with him. He's truly a great guy. He says he wants the same, but he's not in a financial position to propose or move forward with a life together. He also won't look for another job because he's happy at the nursery. We have had talks about him leaving the nursery, but he's only willing to leave if he can get his business idea off the ground. He doesn't want to work for someone else. His parents are putting a bit of pressure on him to use that degree they paid for, but I think it just makes him more resistant. I guess I'm just wondering what to do at this point. I want to continue to build a life with him, but I'm feeling overwhelmed. Update. So thanks everyone for all of your input. It really helped put things in perspective. Points of clarification. 1. We moved to this new place because the more affordable apartment was falling apart. Like we literally couldn't stay there. In the area near his job, rent is insane. We are about 45 miles away and rent is still $1,800 $2K. If we wanted cheaper he would have to quit. 2. He's not full-time, so his $18 an hour isn't as much as it would be if he was. His money goes towards car insurance, gas, and his own credit card bills. 3. Yes, I do most of the chores because I WFH and he's tired after work. He pitches in when he can, but it's not a 50-50 split. 4. No, the roles wouldn't be reversed because I would never be happy in a low-paying job. Things being financially tight make me anxious, so even if he made more than me, if I was in a lower-paying job I would want to make more money. I grew up poor, so I could never 100% rely on a man. I just want us to have an equitable partnership. 5. I'm fine with him making less, I just wanted to figure out how to have a more equitable split and some of you provided a great plan. Seriously. On to the update. I casually asked about what his plan is and he says he's going to give the nursery another year. If they don't promote him then he will look elsewhere. I suggested another outdoor job like arborist, but he says, all arborists are a-holes, which I don't believe, but that's his opinion. I asked about other nurseries, but his loyalty lies with this one. I want him to work a job he enjoys, but I know long term I can't keep getting such little support financially and domestically. I'm not going to wait another year for him to get it together though. I'm not sure what timeline I want, but I know it's not that. Since I'm feeling really anxious, emotional right now, I'm going to table this discussion for a later date. I'll have my spreadsheets and a clear head so we can have a reasonable talk on what to do moving forward. Again, thank you guys so much for all of your comments. It's not important to him. If you insist on being with this person, adjust your expectations and lifestyle. What was the discussion around moving into a place that cost $2K per month? He should definitely afford more than $400 a month. I make less than your boyfriend and I pay over $800 for rent and utilities a month alone. It may not be 50-50, but your financial split seems unfair. I wanted to chime in and wonder how he can only afford $400 a month while being paid $18 an hour. Are there other expenses he has besides your shared ones? I made $15 an hour about 2 years ago before changing jobs and managed to pay a $850 rent each month on my own while budgeting. Wasn't extremely comfortable, but as long as I wasn't overspending, it was doable. Because you're dealing with debt and so much stress, I think it may be worth a conversation and look into what all he's spending money on. Edit. Also worth adding, my boyfriend gets paid $19 an hour and we split rent evenly now at about $800 each. At this point, you need to move on. He makes enough to pay more than $400 a month towards your bills and he's not doing it. He's not interested in being a partner, he wants to still be a kid. He says he wants to marry you and have children with you, but he doesn't want that enough to try to get a better paying job. If you don't want to break up with him, at least insist he at least doubles his financial contribution, or tell him he needs to live elsewhere while he gets his business idea off the ground. Wife, 40F, has ex-husband legal debt. Expects me, 46M, to pay for it. What is my obligation here? Wife, 40F of 2 years, 46M. Her third marriage, my second. Wants. Expects me to loan her the money or pay the legal bills her ex-husband is racking up as he attacks her through the court system. What is my obligation here? Wife had a very loose parenting plan for years regarding her under 10-year son. She moved out of state to live with me and brought her son. Her ex-husband loves his son, however, he is financially irresponsible and has made half a dozen questionable and poor choices. I.e., quit his job 2 years ago, with no effort to re-employ, lives in a 2-room shed that he halfway remodeled with his girlfriend and her 2 kids, refuses to pay for his son's expenses, child support or judgments from multiple lost frivolous motions. She attempted to reconfigure the parenting plan. He has no interest in it and has instead deployed a hostile scorched earth strategy. They got a gal-recommended plan that states the boy lives with us during the school year and lives with him during the summer. The ex is also under a 1-year restraining order for stalking. He legally represents himself, with 100-plus page manifestos, and is in general a bully, overcomplicating everything and hell-bent on destroying her via the courts, emotionally and/or financially, by exhausting her ability to pay in the hope she gives up. It's really tough to see. To date, she has spent $40,000 on legal fees in 1 year. She took an extra job, borrowed $30,000 from me and has paid me back $15,000. Now she needs an additional $20,000 to pay the legal retainer required for trial. She has no savings or credit available to continue this fight. Her second job has ended. We split our monthly shared household car expenses equally, with all extra income or expenses being handled at the discretion of the earner debt holder. I walked into this marriage after a very expensive divorce from first wife, along with a massive monthly alimony. We have a prenup. I never asked for or received any financial assistance from her for my ex-spouse issues. I have a 10 Malio emergency expenses fund from which I've loaned her $15,000, and after paying off 3 years of alimony in one lump sum to my ex-spouse, my monthly cash flow has breathing room after shared expenses. I have taken the position from day one that I will not take responsibility for any of her debt created with or by her ex-husbands. Each of them are not good with money or responsibility. I do contribute above and beyond our mutually shared expenses when needed for things like medical bills, house repairs, travel or other budget overruns. Now she is coming to me asking for $20,000 in addition to the $15,000 I have loaned her. I am not comfortable loaning more than $20,000 toward this cause, which would be total cost of $35,000 fronted by me, and I am not of the mindset that this should even be my financial responsibility. I said no. My maximum is $20,000. Her response to my no has been filled with hostility, disappointment, distance and attacks over an unstated expectation. I'm drowning and you are throwing me a floaty toy. She sees any money in an account as available money to spend on this. I don't want to loan her the money, which would mean having her indebted to me for 4 years along with emotions and resentment that I didn't just gift it to her. I don't think it's right to expect me to pay for costs associated with one of her ex-husbands. What is my obligation in this situation? You're not obligated to do anything. That money is ridiculous. Do not give her a cent. I'd get your own lawyer. Was none of this discussed before you got married? Get her to go to her state child support, which is usually separate from family court. If he's not paying, they will garnish his wages. If he's married and filing jointly with his wife, they will garnish her tax refund to pay for his back child support. It stinks, but there are no financial or legal repercussions for his frivolous lawsuits. It's not worse than what he's doing to her. He's already ruined the loose, friendly arrangement they had. Tell her to get serious. Her lawyer can't beat she'd living manifesto writing guy for that much money? Dude, that's the worst lawyer ever. I have read enough of your replies. You sound like an unsupportive dick blaming her for this issue. Just go ahead and divorce her. It doesn't sound like you care about her being emotionally cared for. This issue is weighing her down and you are not helping. Post this in our legal advice and try to help your wife if you can. You're not legally obligated to do anything. But what kind of man just watches his wife get relentlessly attacked and lets it happen? You say forking money to a lawyer isn't a good move? He's representing himself. You represent her, maybe, I dunno. You two are in this together. That's your wife and that's your kid now. Edit grammar, spelling.